person. Someone who doesn't care, that's there, that really doesn't care with life. Why does all these things happen in the world? Well, it's just because he's here, but he's not here, really. Well, that's not the Father. His heart grieves, as we've learned and will continue to learn, for those that he loves. See, Jesus isn't attracted to pleasant places. He's attracted to hurting people. He loves to draw close to those who cry out for him and are hurting. He loves to heal those who need healing. If your parents have ever failed you, if your parents have ever hurt you, face up to it, forgive them, and go on with your heart open to God, and don't transpose that onto God because of the absence or because of the hurt. Because we do. Because we only learn what we see in the natural. Then the one who's not seen, we think, Father. He's a father. He's a dad. He's an ogre. John 10:10 says, I have come so you have life and have it to the abundance. Life there means Zoe life. Z-O-E, Zoe. Absolute perfection, joy, completeness. That's our Father. Jesus is the same as the Father is one. If Jesus came to give you life, did not the Father came to give you life? Does not the Father want the life for you, the best life? Come on. The third thing we can learn from it is the generosity. We can look at generosity of our own family, and we can look at it sometimes, or the stinginess of them. Some of our houses are filled with so much treasure and so many things that are so needed and loved that the parents say, don't touch that. Be quiet, be careful. Don't go near that if it breaks. I've had that in my family for years. And then they rouse at you and yell at you because you broke something. I know I have as a parent. So it gives a distorted view sometimes that the child who's exploring things to say, don't touch that, don't touch that. That thing's more important than you. And then we look at it and we think the Father's like that too. That there's creation, different things in the world are more important than you. And they're not. Floyd McClung in his book says this: small flowers high on mountains and valleys do not have economic value, but they are created by God in the hope that one day a son or daughter of Adam might even glance at it and be blessed by its beauty. Isn't that wonderful? That's the God that we serve. A God who creates things for our pleasure. The Father heart of God is one who loves to surprise you and to bless you with things that He only knows that you really would love. Jesus says quite plainly, if we ask you for a piece of bread, won't give you a snake, and so on. We need to understand that when we are asking the Father, He knows what you need. He knows your desires. And you know what? He gives you these little pleasures because they're just a blessing, just to show there's a God wink for you because I love you. Isn't that wonderful? See, God's not stingy. We may have a Father that's stingy, that's possessive, that's materialistic, puts everything before you. If you get him a car, don't you eat or drink because you might ruin the upholstery. All these things. Now, it's good to look after things, but at the expense of permanently hurting someone emotionally, I think it's wrong. And you need to understand that if you see your father or your parents like that, that's not your dad in heaven. See, we see people sometimes as things. Do we not? That's the world. But God sees things to bless people. Any things around here? I like to be used to be blessing people. The God of this world loves you so much, and of the next, which is our Father. Because He's the rightful God of this world, not the devil. He's lost all his power. He gives us the intangible things which are far greater, like forgiveness, grace, and love. Have you told your Father lately, your spiritual Father, that you love Him? I don't understand the word love, so I can't say I love Him. I say I love Him in words, but what does it really mean? The next thing that we see is affection. Affection is one of the misconception of a fatherhood is where the father doesn't give any affection to the child. Doesn't hug the child when they're young. Doesn't hug them when they're older. Doesn't kiss them. Doesn't say how much they love them. It's like this guy in this book says it this way. He says, as we reject mud, when a boy comes in muddy from playing in the mud, we say, oh, you're all dirty. Go and have a shower, clean yourself up, throw him in the dirty clothes box, but you don't reject the boy. You just reject the mud. And see, so the Father is not rejecting you. He's just rejecting some of the mud that's on us. Some of the mud that's stuck to us from this life. He rejects that, but it's not about you. Isn't that a wonderful thing? That's the Father that we have. Many times we're taught not to cry as kids, especially boys. You're not a man if you cry. But you know, Jesus was one of the most compassionate people. He said He wept over Jerusalem. He's compassionate and loving. His love is immeasurable. He feels their hurts deeply, more than what you feel. But He was there during that time. Do you know the Father was there at the time when I was about 6 years old, that I was in the Rockhampton Showgrounds and I got lost from my mum? And I was absolutely lost, crying my eyes out and thought my whole world had fallen apart. And I still remember it. The feeling of being lost and no way of finding my mum. He was there when He found a lady to find me, to take me to the police station there, and for Mum to come and find me. Even though I was kicking and screaming, because the police kept saying, drink this, and I said, no, it's poison, it's poison. I kept saying, oh, it's poison. Mum told me about these strangers, it's poison. And I kept saying, you're a stranger and it's poison. I remember thinking that, saying to her, it's poison, you're trying to kill me. I'm not doing it. I cried louder and I cried louder, Mum! You know, because these people are trying to kill me. And I remember that so much. It was crazy. I remember the time that I'd come home from school, grade 2. I was coming home from school with my brother, and as we rounded the corner, here's my mum getting into a taxi to leave, my dad. I come running to the taxi, she's got a bag. I said, where you going, Mum? What are you doing? She says, I'm going, son, but I'll be back for you, I'll be back for you. And I felt so abandoned and lost again because my mum was leaving me. And I cried and screamed and cried. I still remember the taxi. Mum, please don't leave me. Don't leave me. She said, I'll be back. And she was crying. She had to go because Dad was beating her and Dad had another woman. And she did come back from me a couple of weeks later when she sorted some things out. But, you know, God was there in that time. The Father was there. And His heart grieved for the times that we go through. I remember that night the lady came and lived in the house in the same bed that Mum was with him. And man, that made me angry. She come and bring this rabbit about this big with his big ears. I kept it till I was 15, but boy did I give that thing a boxing. I used to get it and whack it and stomach it and throw it and hit it continuously all my life and used to flip over in the air. And it was just something I was angry with that thing. And it was because of that. But the Father was there through that thing. Through the pain that we experience through life, He's never left us. And He feels so much pain for what you're going through because He loves you more than you love you.